Hey, everybody. We're Donald Trump and Hillary Clinton.
No fucking way. That was my brainstorm.
Anyways, yeah, so let's get into, I guess, fucking, this is a mess. I'm Blood Feud Podcast,
And I'm 2015.
and this is our top 10 movies of the last time we went to the movie theater, which means we're going to be talking about...
There's only one movie.
There's only one movie. So we're going to be talking about the Blair Witch
It's funny you say that,
Project.
too.
Just kidding. Just Blair Witch.
It's funny you say that you said top 10 or whatever, because I was thinking, this movie isn't, I'm sure for most people it isn't going to be anywhere near their top 10. For me, it's not going to be on my top 10, but I did enjoy this movie, and I would still say go see it. I think maybe some other people, as well as you, have different opinions.
I'm going to say, since we're getting into that already, as a Adam Wingard, Simon Barrett fan, I will say watch this on DVD. Yeah, it maybe I went in expecting too much. Let's talk a little bit about Adam Wingard and Simon Barrett. Fairly young directors, I guess you could say. Well, director and writer, little duo. And they've made a couple like smaller indie movies, but really their first one that kind of put them on the scene was Your Next, which I guess technically came out after VHS, right? I don't know, maybe around the same time.
Yep.
But Your Next is one of my favorite horror movies, if not my absolute favorite.
Huh.
And they also did The Guest, which
I didn't see that one.
Isn't even a horror movie. It's a mix of like Halloween and like Terminator. It's real cool. You should watch it. But those are like two of I love those movies. Like, I think they're awesome movies. So going into this, I'd always said, like, if Adam Wingard and, Simon Barrett can keep making like consistent movies, they could be like the horror auteurs of our generation. You know what I mean? Like the Wes Craven or the whoever else, John Carpenter of our generation.
Yeah.
And I think Blair Witch was a big step back for them. Which disappointed me. I think the thing that I like the most about Your Next and The Guest is that they're both pretty unique. They don't really follow specific formulas, or at least they're aware of the formulas and they play around them. And I feel like Blair Witch kind of just fell into the formulas, the found footage formulas, and didn't really do anything unique.
Yeah, I do want to kind of add to that and say that maybe one of the reasons why this film was maybe underwhelming to a lot of people, me included, was that I was reading that Lionsgate, first of all, Wingard ran into the original Blair Witch directors, the people that made at Sundance while promoting VHS 2, and they kind of asked him about why there wasn't ever a sequel. Meanwhile, Lionsgate got in touch with them, and they had already written the film, basically, like crafted a synopsis.
Oh,
Lionsgate
so the idea that this kid goes and looks for his sister?
Yes,
Okay.
Lionsgate, from what I've read, had already basically outlined the entire film. And what Wingard and Barrett went in and changed was they added some characters. They kind of tried to make it different because Lionsgate wanted to make it very similar to the first one. So you might be able to say that they didn't have a ton to work with because this was a major, not label, but this was a big business kind of movie franchise.
Yeah.
So
interesting.
I feel like they were
that almost
limited
makes
a
me
bit.
like it more.
Yeah, no, they definitely, I think they did.
Because I can like see, now that you say that, like I can almost see like parts of the movie that like maybe had their influence on it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Especially the end.
Yeah, which is my favorite part.
I think if there's any reason to see this movie, it's for the last 20 minutes, and I think that's where Wingard and Barrett's directing shines.
Yeah. I'll agree with that 100%, and that makes me like it a little bit more. Because I was going to say, the more I think about this movie, the less I like it, but that kind of that makes a lot of sense if that's the case. Yeah.
Yeah, so just something to think about. I'm not saying that it's not entirely Wingard and Barrett's responsibility that it has done poorly.
Right.
But I would say, maybe it is a reason. As simplistic as that is to say.
Yeah, okay.
what else should I say? I don't know. I do like this film, but I do think there's a lot of flaws. I'm trying to think of. I know we both said at the end of the film, well, that could have been a lot better.
Yeah.
It could have been done differently. I don't know how. I do think for the people that are arguing that this is a carbon copy of the original Blair Witch, I don't see that, because there are
No, I don't think so.
where the original Blair Witch was, and I love that movie. Everything is very ambiguous. It's all ambiguous. What's happening, if there's a witch at all, it's all ambiguous. This film is very much less ambiguous, right?
I think it's got a little bit of ambiguity to
No,
it,
for sure.
especially because I don't want to. Usually on Blood Feud we just talk about our opinion, and I don't like to get too much into. Oh well, they said this, but
For sure.
right now, just before we started, I was looking for something on Twitter, and I came across a conversation that Simon Barrett has, where someone asks him, and this is kind of getting a little into the plot. So if you haven't seen Blair Witch yet, and you don't want anything spoiled, I guess stop listening now.
Skip the next
69 minutes and 420 seconds.
I guess I do want to.
We can talk about this later. I can come back to it.
Can we do a little bit of sum up before we talk about
let's do that. So keep listening.
What have we, just for like a minute or two more? So I don't know. I think there's definitely a lull, and a lot of the time I was feeling like I wish there was more. I was reading that Barrett and Wingard looked at each quote unquote scare and really tried to make it unique and scary. I don't see that except in the very later parts of the film. I think a lot of the scares in the film are a little bit disappointing. It's some of them. Well, I don't want to give any of that away yet, any specifically, but I wish there was more than what we got in most of the film. However, the last 20 minutes of the film, in my opinion, is exceptional and is the reason to see the film.
Yeah, I don't know if I'd give it exceptional, but really well done.
Yeah,
I'll give it that.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm very jumpy, so like that. It was very adrenaline filled for me.
It's the last part of it's almost like what's the like one of those old school like carnival haunted houses where like you're in a cart and like you ride through. You know what I mean? Does that make sense?
No, very much, but in a good way, I think.
Yeah.
What I want to say to sum up my thoughts, and then you can say something before we get into spoilers if you want. I'll probably say this again. Go into this. I would think about this not so much as a sequel, but as an alternate imagining, a reimagining of the Blair Witch universe, and kind of a film that adds to the mythos. And you don't necessarily, you can take it or leave it. If you really hate it, you don't have to believe that that's canon. Because there's only one Blair Witch film that's quote unquote canon, and that's the first one.
Is that true?
Well,
because they made a second one.
Book of Shadows is that is regarded as one of the worst.
I've never
movies,
seen it,
like,
but
ever.
I heard like that they're canceling that out of the canon and saying that this is canon.
I don't know. This is just my opinion, right? And I'm saying, rather than look at this as a sequel, I would look at it as just another Blair Witch movie that adds some mythos. It takes a lot of liberties. I think you could make another Blair Witch movie that's a lot different than this and ignore.
Do you think the mythos that it adds is bad? Like I'm trying to think
we can talk about that, because I don't know. I think a lot of people would hate it. I personally, I don't dislike it. I think it's cool.
I thought, and I'm gonna be honest. I tried to watch the first Blair Witch before we saw this, and I got halfway through, and I didn't turn it off because I disliked it. I mean, I didn't love it, but it wasn't like so bad that I had to turn it off. I just got caught up doing other stuff and didn't have time to finish it. But I read a plot summary, and I feel like, I mean, we'll talk about it more because you've seen the whole movie and you're a big fan of it. But I don't think it really. I think all the mythos that it adds is pretty positive.
I agree. Yeah.
Okay.
We can talk about obviously the biggest addition, right? What the new film does is it gets very specific with details of the Blair Witch, the history and kind of the town in ways.
Doesn't the first one do that?
It doesn't.
Too?
It doesn't.
Well,
Not really.
I mean, there's the scenes where like they're interviewing people and they talk about. I feel like the first movie gives you more with the mythos than this one does, because they talk about how that dude would kidnap kids and make make him stand in the corner.
Right,
And,
that's still there.
he did it because the Blair Witch told him to, right?
Right, but like the cool thing about the first movie is there isn't a consensus about who the Blair Witch was, what happened to her, if she was real at all. Like everybody in the
Right.
town has something different to say.
And what's the deal with that? What's her name? Mary? Something like the real weird lady that's like, oh, I saw the Blair Witch.
Yeah, and she had hair. In that movie, she's described with, this person
Hairy.
describes her with hairy arms, very tall, covered in hair. Every villager in that movie has a different perception.
And that's actually something I want to talk about.
Okay.
When we get into spoilers. So
I don't know. But I did watch that movie like a couple days after I saw this one.
Yeah.
And I just at the time I was like, I don't know, this second one might actually be scarier. And then I watched that first movie and I was like, no way.
okay.
No way can you ever because it's such a convincing and the atmosphere is so good, the setting is so good. I don't think the setting in this Blair Witch, the forest, is as good. Just maybe the time of year they shot it, the location is just not quite as terrifying to me because in that first movie everything's very skeletal.
Yeah,
and kind
it's
of
like a late fall.
It's
right?
autumn, and
And this movie's summer, right?
yeah,
You'd say?
there's such a desolate.
I'd agree with
mood
that.
in
Yeah,
that
yeah.
And the actors are so good. I don't know if it's the best acting performance, but they are giving such a convincing, just pure terror.
I guess one thing
You
I
know?
will say in terms of the setting, like I said, didn't finish the movie, but it felt a lot more not open, but like it felt like they were more lost, I guess, in this
Yeah,
one. But I
yeah.
feel like that might be part of the plot in Blair Witch. It didn't feel like they really went a whole, like it didn't feel like they moved a lot.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like they're at
Yeah.
campsite, they move campsite, and
Yeah.
like that's where like a lot of the action takes place.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Should we get into spoilers or?
Yeah, I think I forgot exactly. Anyway, that's what I mean when I just say like you can still look at that original Blair Witch as the only Blair Witch. For me, this is just a reimagining. I don't think you need to. Even it is a sequel, right? But it's
Yeah.
more of an alternate imagining to me. And I'll
I don't
talk
know.
more
I
about
don't know if I agree with that. But
because of the details of this movie. I'll
Sure.
kind of talk more about why that is. So
yeah, I guess so. Now spoilers. Go see it if you haven't. Did you want to talk about this, or was there something that you wanted to talk about first?
well, I guess we can talk about likes or dislikes first.
Likes or dislikes? I think really the only thing I can say is I liked the ending. I liked the design of the creature at the end, and which is something that I want to talk about based on what Simon Barrett says. And I love the fact that there was no CGI and that it was all one take.
Yeah. That was the best part.
Yeah, I mean, Birdman, get out of here. This is your Oscar 2016. Best Picture, Best Director, Best Actor, Best Supporting Actress. Give it Best Special Effects. Why not?
So on the note of the one take, the camera. One of the things I do think is cool, although it's not the most stylized thing I've seen. Definitely, probably not very stylized. However, I think something that's easy to miss is the way this movie is filmed, and that the fact that
I did like that.
It's all found footage, but you've got these very modern. There's Bluetooth cameras.
Yeah, I like that because it gives you more to do, right? It gives you different angles, which I almost wish they would have played with that more because, like, in the scenes where there's a lot of like action happening, it seems to stick with one character, which is the main girl whose name I don't remember, and I don't think it really matters. Lisa, Linda,
I believe it's
Amy, Stacy,
Lisa,
baby girl. Like it would have been cool if they would have like switched perspectives. See, okay, you haven't seen the Wreck movies, have you?
I saw the first one.
You saw the first one?
Didn't like that movie.
What?
But yes.
Oh, were you about to have a letterboxd call
the
out?
Spanish one, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love those movies. Oh my goodness.
But I did see it.
So the second one, spoilers for Wreck 2 if you haven't seen it, but it takes place during the same time as Wreck 1, and it's about the police crew that comes in. Remember, there's like so it's their perspective coming into this building, and they do this cool thing because they all have cameras on their head, similar to this. So they do this cool thing where, like, if an action scene's happening, So like I'm pretty. It's been a minute since I've seen it, but like there's like a scene where like one of the zombies like jumps on a guy, and you see it from his perspective fighting, and then it cuts to someone else's perspective, and they're watching him. You know what I mean? Whereas like this movie, it kind of like, while it does flip between people's perspectives, it only seems to like do it for like dialogue. Like it never does it to like hype up action or tension or anything.
Yeah, I think that may be an opportunity that they could have missed because there is so much juggling. And I actually, it confused me because I was like, this is supposed to be found footage, but there's cameras. And then I realized, no, they're not. They're not like, those cameras are on the people. They are in the film.
They had them on their ear.
Yeah,
right?
and it almost makes it seem like there is an external camera. And they could have very well used external cameras at some point.
They probably did. I did have a friend, shouts out Dan, because I know he listens, that brought up to me the fact that what was real cool about the first one is it was actually shot by amateurs. So like some of those shots are out of focus. Some of them have like a finger in it or like a hair. And you'd figure like with all that's going on in this one, all the shots are pretty
sterile.
Well, they're like perfect.
Yeah.
You know, like there's never any like a weird shot or like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
I think, and that's one of the things that made a lot of this stylistically generic.
Yeah.
It's too perfect.
Yeah.
It's too smooth. And I'm not saying I want, because the craziness and the constant motion of the most found footage films really annoys me, but
yeah, and
still.
I'll agree with that because like there's the scene where like it's after Lane and his girl Allison.
Lisa.
No, the blue-haired girl.
Oh,
the Darknet. It's when they come back and spoilers.
Talia.
Really?
Talia is her name.
Dang. It's when Lane and Talia come back. Well, just Talia, because Lane takes off and they kill Talia, and then they all take off running, right?
Yeah.
And like it got so confusing right there.
Yeah.
It's real shaky. It's hard to keep track of, and I was just so disappointed because I was like, I loved the backbreaking of Talia.
Yeah, the new imagining of the effigies.
Yeah,
they're very big and
they're like voodoo dolls.
That's great, and there were little things like that.
Yeah, I loved that because didn't that voodoo doll have like her hair on it?
It had
too?
her hair,
or it was tied with her
really
hair.
cool, and they're kind of
loved it,
bumping into these big effigies around the camp.
I loved that.
That was
too.
that was an instance where I really liked the reimagining.
Yes,
I think, that was probably a revision that was made.
But and then I was like, cool, like this is gonna get hype and like we're gonna get a lot of cool stuff like that, and then it just got so confusing. Like some of the deaths are just so whack. Like the girl that climbs the tree and
I want to talk about that
falls out of the
specifically
tree.
later.
That was so stupid.
That was the worst scene in the movie.
The other dude that gets a tree that falls on him, stupid.
Which is why I can't really understand. Like they claim to have spent so much time examining these scares. You would think they would have tried to make each death interesting, especially because there's only like 6 people. It's a shame.
Yeah. Especially with something like You're Next that has a lot of like unique deaths in it.
Yeah.
And like The Guest has a lot of unique stuff in it. Like this falling out of a tree and then like her body gets dragged away. And then like when the dude gets the tree that falls on him and like you hear the creature walking around.
Yeah.
I thought like maybe like we'd get a glimpse of it, which like I guess I can't complain too much because I liked the way that they showed it at the end. But like it just felt very cheap, I guess. Like a cop out. Shouts out Kevin Smith.
Another thing that was cool, and I think the most nuanced thing in the film, one of them, is that every time a lot of times when there's these glitchy camera shifts, when there's like a glitch in the camera and it shifts, I wasn't always a fan of this, but there's times when there were images implanted in those glitches. Yeah,
there's the one, I heard you mention it during the movie, which quit talking during the movie, Sam. But it's I forget when it is, but you see like a skull or a face pop up.
So one of them is when Peter is dragged away, and the camera flashes. You see him standing in the corner very briefly from later in the movie.
Oh, I didn't catch that one.
I think it's him. It's someone It's very brief.
Yeah.
There's other times when it looked like there were other things, but I couldn't really tell.
I'd like to watch it again. And you know what? I do really want to talk about what I found online because we don't have to right now, but just like it's all like relevant because they mentioned that like a lot of it is going to be explained on the DVD commentary.
Okay.
but they're not gonna like. They want to leave some stuff mysterious. But like, see,
Okay.
like that could be something like a DVD commentary where they're like, "Oh, did you notice this?" Like this. If you end up getting this on DVD, let me know. I'd like to come watch it on
I'd
DVD
like
with
to
you.
pause the frame on these glitches because there were a lot of times when it looked like there was something hidden in the glitch that was too quick. But I do appreciate that. It reminds me.
Tell
of
me,
the Ring.
Kanye West ain't the glitch.
ain't the
Ain't the glitch
ain't
from
the
Wreck-It Ralph.
motherfucking glitch.
Tell me, Kanye West ain't the glitch from Blair Witch. Shouts out Kanye, who's probably on his floating stage right now at Joe Louis Arena talking about making Taylor Swift famous.
I'm not saying that makes this film good, but I don't know. It's just something else that's there.
Yeah. So can I talk about what Simon Barrett said on Twitter about the DVD commentary?
Sure.
So let's talk about what Simon Barrett has to say on Twitter, because someone asked him. Let's talk about, what was your opinion on the foot? What is your opinion on feet, Quentin Tarantino?
Oh, they should have done more. She should have gotten possessed or like turned into something.
So
what was that?
What did you think came out of her foot at the
A
end?
piece of string is what I thought. Oh wait, came out of her leg?
It came out of her leg.
Yeah,
Yeah,
like a piece of string is what I thought. What
So apparently, what it is, according to Simon Barrett on Twitter, it's a tree root.
Oh, okay, that makes sense.
Which makes it a little bit
because
cooler.
those effigies were kind of made out of tree roots.
Yeah, right. Isn't that a little bit cooler?
It is cool, but they
But
should have been
I had
more.
no fucking idea during the movie. And then the other big reveal that Simon Barrett makes on Twitter is the person that asked him the question says, also, I loved the design of the witch at the end.
Yeah.
And he says, oh, well, you never see the witch.
That's what I was wondering.
So
That's so cool. I was literally
which
thinking
makes me
about that
really want to
earlier.
watch the DVD and see what else they have to
love
say.
that.
So
I
I
love
think it
that.
goes, because one of the things that I was thinking about when you see the witch, which is a real cool character design. Well, the witch, not the creature, I guess we'll call it.
Because they give you the red herring because they talk about her getting stretched out on a tree.
And but then remember they say she was hairy, so I'm like, well, why isn't she hairy?
Well,
but then it made me start to think. After reading that, well, what if it's is her name Katie, for the girl from the first movie?
What if that's what she became?
And because like the witch, it would make sense if the witch was killed like that. It would make sense for her to get her revenge by killing people like that, right?
Yeah.
So
that's so cool.
That
changes my whole perspective on this movie.
And it but then you kind of run into the problem with the ending, because it's like, why? Well, what's the deal with?
Why does she look like a girl in the room, or is that somebody else?
I was gonna say, why can she not kill them unless they look at her?
Well, that's not entirely clear. The dude doesn't know that. Nobody knows that. See, it's not really because I don't know if it's that she kills them because they look at her. I think
she's just toying with them. Or?
Yeah, you never know. That's not just like most people will assume, as did I, that that's the witch. Most people will assume that what is being said is true, which is not.
And can I just say real quick, I had a little bit of a problem with the ending because like, it plays that up where it doesn't kill him unless they look at her, and like it, because he's like, he's not looking, and then it's his sister that says something, right? She's like,
yeah,
and he turns around and gets killed, and then so like you would think that Lisa, was that her name? Would know, okay, I can't look at it, and she does because she puts up the camera and she's looking at it through the camera,
and then she gets tricked
as
too.
soon, she just gets tricked immediately after, like. Yeah. Come on.
Maybe there's some mental witchcraft going on. However, I was thinking about that today, too. I was like, is there a possibility that this isn't the witch? And then I was like, no, because it's got to be. They talked about her arms getting stretched out, but I don't know. Just the idea that as an audience, you're going to assume that is the witch when in reality it isn't. And maybe it was a little too subtle. I don't think there's any way to know that other than James saying, hearing Lisa and then not Lisa,
his Katie,
Heather is his sister's name.
Oh,
he hears his sister talk, and that's why he turns around. Regardless, I think that makes me like this movie even more because I agree. I couldn't help but be a little disappointed that they did. It was cool. Like the creature was cool, but I was like,
yeah, very well designed.
I don't know what it means when you reveal that, but. I don't know.
And I like
That's
the way
cool.
it was. I like the whole like. I mean, we said I like the whole last ending part.
Yeah.
Even when they like finally find the house and like they walk up and it's like rainy
It's
and
so cool.
I liked that a lot.
It's just
and it's like
it makes you wish that the rest of the movie would have been like that.
Yeah.
Like that unique. Because
you know what it gave me the feeling of is like it gave me the feeling of like being out late at night with like your buddies, and it's like shitty out or whatever, storming, and
Yeah.
like you find like I'm not gonna incriminate myself, but like I remember like being out one time and like we found like a barn and like snuck into this barn. But you know how like that's like such a terrifying feeling because you don't know what's in there. That's like the feeling I got from it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
I
I like
think
that.
that's a badass tweet to make on the part of Wingard, right? You never
Simon Barrett.
I'm sorry, you never see the witch.
Yeah.
That's badass. Just to say that to somebody.
So I'd really like to watch the DVD with commentary. You know what I mean? Just to see
so
what else they have to say.
On that note, I'm gonna take back what I said. I think because I had said you don't have to look at this when I was talking
as a
about
mythos.
Because for me, I think a lot of people, if you're really disappointed that they revealed the witch, which they didn't, but I'm just saying,
Right.
then you don't have to look at this as a sequel, right? But
Right.
I think
Now you do.
I don't know. You don't have to, but it makes it
No, you have
cooler.
to, dude. If you don't, Donald Trump will personally come to your house, kick open the door, and massage your back.
To me, it just means the secret wasn't given away.
Yeah.
I don't think anything was certain in this movie.
Yeah. So one
whereas
thing
I did before.
if I had to like try to explain this movie, I don't even know if that's the right word, but like one thing that I thought like was going to be like was going to be like a twist is there's that scene where they're talking and he says something about how like no one's ever been here at night. Lane does, and like the witch like influences you or something, and they're like, well, why are you here? And he's like, well, how do you know the witch doesn't already have me and I brought you out here for her or something? Remember that? Like he says something like that. Well, it made me start to think, what if what's the dude's name? James?
Yeah.
Like, because at the end, doesn't he say something about like I'm sorry?
Yeah.
I'd really like to watch it again and see exactly
I've
what he says.
seen it twice, actually. I went with my sister because she wanted to see it.
Wow, dude, whatever. Maybe you should just do the podcast. Emma, come down here and do the podcast. So I almost wondered if James had already went out there to find her and like had been in contact with the witch, and she was like, bring back your friends.
Well, and you missed the first minute of the movie.
Which I'm so bummed about.
It was one of the best parts of the movie.
I know. I'm an idiot, dude.
So you see at the beginning, the whole reason they go out there is because James sees a YouTube clip of somebody running around the house, Rustin Parr's house. They don't know it at the time.
Rest in peace.
And they see frantically,
Rustin Parr, dude.
maybe intentional. They see frantically running up the stairs the reflection of kind of like a ghoulish-looking woman in a mirror. You never figure out who it is, but he says, I think that's my sister.
Yeah.
And one of the coolest nuances in the film is that is actually them. It is Lisa running up the stairs.
Which is cool because this movie kind of gets this
circular,
adds to the mythos, like this time control thing, right?
Yeah.
Which almost makes you wonder because we talked about briefly, like what is that big flashing bright light at the end? Is it aliens? Is it Captain Kirk?
Yeah.
Is it Chewbacca? Rest in peace, Han Solo. Harambe, dude. He ran by her. He ran by Harambe. But what if it's like them traveling through time?
Some kind of dimensional thing where the witch just has dimensional control over, the realm, right?
Right.
But, anyway, this circular, the idea that everything is circular, that they were, their fate was predetermined from the start.
Right. And I almost wish, kind of off topic, but he sees the other characters that had died, like standing in the corners, right? Or
Peter.
Just Peter.
Is the only one he sees.
It seemed like they could have done more with that. I don't know.
Yeah. I liked how there was talk about how nobody really agrees whether the murders at Rustin Parr's house happened in the basement or the attic, and so they kind of play with both of those territories.
Can we talk about real quick the scene where she's crawling through the mud hole?
Yeah.
That felt a little pointless, right?
Yeah, I didn't really understand why that happened. Only because here's why I think maybe it was in there. So
give it to me, baby.
They talk at the beginning of the film kind of about how most people don't think that Rustin Parr's cabin really exists, and they talked about somebody mentions there being a bunch of tunnels like
Yeah.
the Underground Railroad.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
think the reason that scene exists is to tell us that this is Rustin Parr's cabin. This is
Okay.
the place. It really does exist.
It just seemed like it dragged on for too long.
Yeah,
and then like you get the thing with Lane being all like grizzled, like he's been there for
and he kind of
months,
assumes
years.
the role of Rustin Parr, trying
And
to
he's
kill
doesn't he
people.
say something like there needs to be 6 or 7? Doesn't he say something like that?
I think so. In my
Which
opinion,
was interesting.
He was the weakest character in this movie.
Yeah.
Besides maybe Ashley, the foot
I didn't really
lady.
like Peter. He was just like
Yeah.
douchey jock guy.
I don't know. Okay, regardless. Yeah, I agree. I don't even watching it the second time. I was like, this. I don't know, man.
So that scene though, have you heard of a movie called The Borderlands? I don't think it was on Netflix. I watched this a little while back. And it's spoilers for The Borderlands if you haven't seen it. This is a horror movie that I did enjoy and I guess I would recommend. I don't think we'll do a feud on it, but so basically I'm going to get a little off topic, but The Borderlands is about this church in Ireland that they call these paranormal researchers, and they're like, hey, will you come check out our church? We think it's haunted. And long story short, they're checking out the church, and, like creepy shit happens. They come back every night. And then finally, like, it gets like real creepy, and they're like, we have to like go downstairs, like to like we can't get out the front door, like we have to go deeper into the church. And as they go deeper into the church, the movie ends with them they go down into the basement, and then they go into this tunnel, very similar to Blair Witch, where it's like claustrophobic, they're crawling through, but then the tunnel starts to move and like constrict, and like acid starts dripping from it. And the twist is that the demon lives in, like, the demon has embodied the church and it's eating people.
Oh.
Like, so you think he's crawling through this tunnel, he's crawling through the demon's intestines. Like, he crawled, like, with them going down into the basement was them going into the demon's mouth, and it's the demon digesting them at the end.
How old is that movie? That sounds so cool.
A couple years. Real cool, though.
Cool.
I love the twist, because, like,
yeah.
It's like that very, like 2013.
Okay.
Just so, like, that's such, like, a messed up, like, way to
that's
die.
Conversely, yeah, nothing really happens. I felt like I was excited about it the first time through because I was like, what's going to happen? But when you watch it the second time, you really realize there was no point. And she ends up back in the basement. Like, why was that tunnel even there? It was like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, and I don't remember why you mentioned that, but,
It's just something I didn't like. That
was maybe the only part of that final sequence that I was a little disappointed in, although it does kind of throw you for a loop the first time you see it. Yeah, and just the entire chase sequence through the house of the long-legged, long-limbed
and like
creature
how
chasing them.
Like when they go in the stairwell and it just takes up like the whole thing.
That's fucking scary, man.
Yeah.
That's one of my favorite shots from the film. And of course, just the way at the very end that you as an audience are forced to confront this thing that supposedly nobody can look at and live through. Whether that's true or not, it's just so cool, and I think that's unique. And you have to give credit to Wingard and Barrett, for just that idea. I think it's unique. And I don't really know, what more to say about the ending sequence because I liked it a lot.
I feel like there was something I wanted to say. I guess I said it.
I liked. Is there anything more to say about the end sequence specifically? Like it felt like you said, it felt like a haunted house, but in a good way. I felt like it was scary.
You know what would have made it better?
Kurt Russell.
Kurt Russell. What if Kurt Russell shows up as his character from Death Proof? So Kurt Russell shows up in the car, puts the Blair Witch, puts the whole house in the back seat, and just wrecks that shit. Anyways, Don't Breathe.
I like this movie more than Don't Breathe.
Really?
I'm going to say that right now. See this movie before you see Don't Breathe.
Wow, that's a bold claim.
I don't want to get too comparative.
I don't think you can really compare them.
No.
If I had to pick one that I enjoyed more, I don't know.
I
think on my Letterboxd they have the same rating.
Okay.
Which, let me give a shout out. Speaking of Letterboxd, please follow us on Letterboxd. Letterboxd is a lot of fun. I want to give out a shout out to my boy, Cold Dog, big boy, big fella.
M. Redka
M.
on Letterboxd.
M. Doggy Dog. M. What's his rap name?
I don't know what his most recent one is.
How Many Licks? He's on Letterboxd. He's cool. So thank you to that.
He just got on there, yeah.
Yeah, if you're not on Letterboxd, get on there. It's cool. Letterboxd should sponsor us. How many times can I say letterboxd.com in an episode? How many times do I have to say it before Letterboxd sponsors all of our shows? Well, you're listening to Blood Feud Podcast, brought to you by letterboxd.com. Letterboxd.com, the only website where you can keep track of shit no one gives a fuck about.
Anything else you liked about the film? I'll talk about real quick, just, with the camera stuff. I liked the drone shots. I thought it was pointless.
Yeah, I was literally about to.
I wish they would have done more.
Yeah, like they could have done so much
Those
with it.
aerial shots were cool.
What would have been? This would have been cool. Like, see, this is something I'm talking about, where you see the action from a weird camera angle.
Right.
What if like a person is like on the drone, and remember, there's like a couple scenes where like you see the drone rise up and like they're talking, right, and like you can see them talking.
Yeah, that's really cool.
But what if like something fucked up happened from the drone's point of view? Right?
Is there any way to make that not look goofy though? Maybe if something was in the frame. And I wish there would have been more stuff like that in this movie, like subtleties in the frame.
Yeah,
I don't
actually,
know.
if you like go on Google and you look up Blair Witch like 2016, like there's a couple shots from the movie that would have been perfect for something like that. Like there's the one where like James is standing like in the rain, and he's like on the very far right side of the frame, and the rest of it, here it is. The rest of it is just kind of blank. Like, isn't that the perfect shot to have like something in, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah. So what else? All I'm saying is that from a modern perspective, the things that they did with the cameras and the technology were cool, because you get a found footage film in a way that you haven't really before. Even if it was generic, I think it was interesting. All the different perspectives. What else? Anything else to like here? I don't think the characters were terrible. I think they were annoying at times. I don't think anything made me cringe. I think it was just like it got into it very quickly.
It did.
The whole middle kind of lags, but like I wasn't finding myself thinking, wow, this character is really stupid. Maybe Peter.
Who? Peter's the main. Oh no, Peter's the dick.
Maybe Peter. Yeah, but
when he's like trying to set up the tent,
and he keeps going off alone, and it's just a horror movie cliche at that point,
What did you think about the Lane and his girlfriend doing shit for fake at the start?
It was a cool twist. I didn't really understand their motivation, but I liked that it didn't get right into it. I was really disappointed when there were the effigies, but then it was like, oh no, they faked it.
Yeah.
Why did they fake it? I don't know.
Well, they said no one would believe. Like they needed to do it to get people to believe them. And I guess going back to like Blaine and Laser, I liked how they like the time thing where like they show up and they're like, we've been in here for like weeks.
They're
like
in
I thought
kind of
that
a
was
different
cool.
temporal zone. It gets to a point where the sun does not come up again, which is cool.
Yeah.
Something that didn't happen in the original, but again, just cool.
It seemed like they were out for less time in the original, though, right? I don't know.
Yeah, the original, they were out for quite a while. I don't even remember. I liked how Talia and Lane had an older camera, just as a little bit of a throwback to the older. I thought it was a little gimmicky, but you get that older perspective from the tape camera sometimes. Kind of cool. And I guess, did we like creature design? It was excellent. I really liked the creature. It was a surprise to have a creature in it. Now that I know it's not the Blair Witch, I'm a lot happier. I wasn't unhappy. I was just kind of thinking like, well, if I really didn't like this, I could just think of this as one perspective.
Do you think they'll make another like a Blair's Witches, where we
not Blair Witches, but
well, that's just a joke.
No, I'm sorry.
That's a joke, dude. Don't take it too
triggered.
seriously.
Triggered. I hope not.
A sequel.
I don't know.
Where like it'll eventually end with like a showdown with the witch, like
no, because
Josh and Heather's cousin. It's like, that's my family in there.
I don't know.
And Kurt Russell drives him in.
For me, the idea, like the Blair Witch, I think it's ambiguous whether there is a quote unquote witch at all, and that's what's great about the first film, but the franchise.
So your argument of the first one is that it's just people going crazy?
No, I don't know. I think it doesn't matter. I think I want to imagine there's something paranormal happening, but it's not necessarily a witch. There's all this talk of cultists and murderers and things happening and like ghosts and like I'm not like in the second film. There's a lot of conjecture about a witch that was burned, or hung up, right? And I think that's what most people are probably
Maybe there
thinking.
should be a Blair Witches.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, for me, I'm happier to not know, and like, I don't think it should ever be specified whether there is a witch or not, and what this entity or entities, what is happening.
Yeah.
But I like the idea that this whole project is called the Blair Witch, and it's unclear whether there is a witch at all, but it's something very terrible that we can't understand, and that's just me and my personal taste.
Yeah.
So, can you ever show the witch? I don't know. Because I thought it was the witch, and I was okay with it.
Well, did you know that, like, after the Blair Witch movie came out, like, the Blair Witch Project, they made, like, a Blair Witch toy? Did you know that? Like,
what was the toy?
Like, it was the Blair Witch.
What? Just like the hairy thing?
No, it doesn't. It looks like, Google it real quick. Like, look up Blair Witch toy. This is a real thing.
Just some other company. Oh.
But, like, it was approved by whoever. It was made by Todd McFarlane. You know what I mean? Like, it seems kind of whack that you would.
Is this from Book of Shadows or something?
Oh yeah, I don't know. Actually, that's
it could be from Book of Shadows.
Because like Todd McFarlane does a lot of stuff like that. You know what I mean?
It looks like this is from Book of Shadows.
Okay, maybe.
But I don't know. Maybe not. If somebody could.
Like McFarlane makes a lot of like officially licensed, like horror movie action figures. You know what I mean?
Maybe they were just like, this is just an imagining of what the Blair Witch could look like, which is.
But it's just
fine.
interesting that in a movie like this you would even.
Yeah,
make an action figure.
I don't think there's any value in
do you want me to buy you the Blair Witch action figure? I found it online, $25.
If you want to give me an early Christmas present.
When's your birthday?
We should have, if we ever get a studio, we should have like some kind of like collection of like.
What do you mean if?
When
Letterboxd sponsors us.
And we have a studio.
We will be coming to you live from the Letterboxd studio in beautiful sunny
Seattle. And
go Seahawks.
Well, we'll have a lot of action figures. I just don't think there's any value in trying to imagine what the witch looks like, much less if there is a witch at all.
Actually, I'll say this before we're done. Come back to me. It's not relevant at all.
Oh, okay.
I'll have to say it in closing.
Also, just on top of that, the fact that even in the first film, people have different imaginings of what the witch looks like. It just further affirms that nobody knows. Nobody's ever seen a witch. There could not be a witch. It could be something else. Just my interpretation. We don't have to talk about this anymore. What were we talking about? The creature. It's cool.
It's cute. It's pretty cute. I'd kiss it.
I would kiss it. Yeah, when it's lurking in the trees. You only see it.
It's just a little shy girl, a little shy baby. Just needs someone to hold her hand.
Yeah. And that's one of the other things I really think was well done in this movie. A good horror movie does not reveal its creature too soon. It does not reveal its whatever is scary in that movie. It doesn't reveal it too soon, and this movie barely ever really lets you see it, which is great.
But I almost wish that there would have been more, like it drags away like two bodies, and then I wish there would have been like more teasing. Yeah, I wasn't primed
because it was only in there a little bit, but it does catch you off guard.
It was only in there a little bit.
I'm gonna leave that.
I think that about sums up everything about Blair Witch.
Yeah. Anything else you want to say that was really poor? When she climbs the tree to get the drone.
Oh, yeah. Did you want to talk about that?
Just real quick. Why would she care about the drone? She has a fucking hole in her foot, and she just pulled a root out of her leg. You're not
And then she
climbing
climbs the tree.
Stupid. Who let that stay in the movie? Who thought that would be scary or cool?
Yeah.
And all you get is an arm reaching out, knocking her down, and she gets dragged away. Stupid. I don't know if there's anything else that needs to be said about that.
Stupid.
The drone is going to save me.
Right. Well,
I got to go get it. Hold on, fam.
I mean, I guess could you make the argument that the witch is like telling her to do dumb shit?
Sure, but in that case, the witch is telling her to make this movie fucking bad.
So yeah, I guess on that note, rest in peace, Arnold Palmer. Rest in peace, Kurt Russell. He's not dead, but I just want there to be as much, And
I'd say see the movie. I know it's not.
I'll say wait for DVD, watch it
I
with the
know.
commentary.
I think there's some scares in this movie that are just going to be way better in theater.
Really?
Because if you're watching it on a smaller TV, not surrounded by fucked up loud sound, you're not going to be as peaked. But also, I am
You're a
a
peaker.
peaky bro. I don't know. I enjoyed the film. I don't really understand the overwhelming hate. I think it was all right.
I'll say there's better found footage. Adam Wingard and Simon Barrett have made better movies.
Yeah, fair.
Please don't call me out on Twitter.
I look forward to the DVD commentary.
Yeah, I do. I'm really. If you get it, don't.
I'd be
I mean, you
down.
can watch it without me, but I'd like to watch it.
This isn't a film that I would go out of my way to own, but I don't. I like.
We'll rent it.
I like
Redbox.
it. Yeah, I like it. And if there was a Blair Witch box
Blair
set
Witches.
with the first one and the second one, not
Blair
Book
Witches.
of Shadows, yeah, I would buy it. Excuse
Okay.
me.
Well, maybe they'll make that for you.
Also, because I don't own the first Blair Witch on DVD,
That's
which
classic.
is one of my favorites.
So I guess on that note, the
Let
thing
us
that
know
I was
what you
gonna
thought.
say, yeah, let us know what you thought in the comments, which no one ever does. And Twitter, which no one ever does. Facebook, some people do. We appreciate that. Every person that comments, we know who you are. We recognize. We remember. I'm not gonna give anybody shout outs because I'm not gonna get your names right. But like, I'm like, oh hey, like we appreciate it. We're people like everybody else. So I don't know. I'm getting real emotional here. Shit. I don't know why I'm getting emotional. So you know how Facebook shows you like your 1 year ago, your two, like it'll on this day.
Mm-hmm.
I was a couple days ago. Was our first blood feud.
Oh, Narai?
Yeah, we've been at this for it was our 1 year Annie.
Yeah, a little bit off and on because we didn't really do anything for like 6 months,
But still,
a couple months.
yeah,
yeah,
our anniversary. So if you stuck with us this far, we've been
I don't know
together
what's
for a
wrong with
whole
you.
year.
Oh yeah,
A whole I expect flowers in the mail, gift cards to Applebee's. Shout out Applebee's. Maybe they'll sponsor us and we'll come at you live from the Applebee's studio. Which could just be us going to Applebee's and recording this during half off apps every night from after 9 p.m. Sponsor us, Applebee's.
yeah.
But yeah, I think, like I said, thank you. Like it does mean a lot. Some videos get more views than others, and we need to get this on iTunes. So we apologize that we make you watch this on YouTube. We'll get it on iTunes soon. I promise. I'm gonna send a text right now about getting it on iTunes. So,
What's next? We don't know.
what is next? We do not know.
You sent me a text that I completely ignored
yes,
the other day.
yes, I am aware.
But I saw the name of the film.
Movies
That I'm excited about that I forgot about for the rest of the year. 31, Rob Zombie.
Yeah, that
I'm
comes out
excited about
soon, right? October sometime. If we're for sure doing that. So if we don't decide something before then, we're for sure doing 31.
I want to see Rings. It looks
It
like
got delayed.
When's it coming out? Damn it.
February.
Unfortunately,
January.
I saw a trailer when I went to see the Blair Witch the second time. A little bit disappointed that I saw the trailer. Not really stoked about the movie anymore, having seen the trailer. I don't want to give anything away, but I do want to see it and maybe do it because The Ring is one of my favorites. The American rendition, Ringu, is I'm sorry if I'm grossly mispronouncing that. Is okay.
That's right.
It's more of a mystery thriller.
Yeah,
I
it's
like
a different
The
type
Ring.
of movie.
I like The Ring, and specifically the Hitchcock references in it. Just a lot of cool nuances. Rings could be cool. 31. One thing we're not going to do is that horrible looking Ouija movie that
It's a
coming
sequel,
out
and I never saw the
to
first
Michael
one.
Bay's.
Is that a Michael Bay movie?
If it's a sequel, it looks like better made than the first one, honestly. But
Let me tell the people, because this is for the people, about the movie that I texted you about. The movie I texted you about is called Desierto, and it's directed by Alfonso Cuarón's son. Sam's dead.
who is?
Whatever, Cuarón. Alfonso Cuarón is the guy that directed Gravity and Children of Men, which are great movies.
Okay.
But the trailer looks real cool. This is interesting. It's Mexico's selection for best foreign film.
Okay.
Which doesn't mean it'll get in. And then so that looks real cool. There's a movie called I Am Not a Serial Killer, which is more like a thriller. I wanted to see The Shallows, which I never
Yeah, it's supposed to be
did.
okay. There is a movie coming out called Under the Shadow, which is
You told me about
I
this,
believe it's
right?
an Iranian film, but I could be very wrong about that because I've only seen it advertised once. It looks kind of cool. And then one thing we're definitely not going to do is the Bye Bye Man, which
Oh
looks god
no.
awful.
Oh
God awful.
no.
Kind of a Babadook ripoff.
Did you see the new M. Night Shyamalan movie?
No, I did not.
So it's called Split. It's not really it's more like a thriller, I guess. But I guess it's supposed to be a return to form for Mr. Shyamalan. Because I love Unbreakable. Unbreakable is one of my favorites and some of his earlier stuff. And I know you were kind of a fan of The Visit, right?
No, I hate that movie.
Oh, I thought you liked it in like an ironic way.
No, it was terrible.
But Split has premiered at some like festivals, and people are saying it's like great.
Okay.
It's about these girls that get kidnapped by James McAvoy, and he's got split personality disorder. 23 different
I have heard about
personalities.
this. You told me about
And
this.
so
I forgot.
like some of the personalities want to help the girls get out. Some of them want to keep them trapped. Some of them, want to do weird stuff to them. And so like it's this real cool, at least from the trailer, it seems like they never know which James McAvoy they're going to get, which is true for real life James McAvoy.
Yeah.
Are you going to get Professor X? Are you going to get drug addict James McAvoy? Which Filth, I think, was the movie.
Okay.
So yeah, I'm really excited for that. I can't think of any other movies that I'm really excited
Not right
for.
now. So
Horror wise.
yeah, it might be a minute. I don't really know. We can look at Netflix. I'm trying to see.
We'll Netflix and chill.
um,
We'll give you a real in-depth look at that.
yeah. So I guess we'll see. For now, that was Blair Witch.
I'm Sam Neill.
I'm 2 Chainz.
And I'm Lil Wayne. Oh shit, motherfucker. I feel like I try to keep my shit family friendly. You know what I mean? But then I realize we're talking about R-rated movies.
Right.
And I don't know, it's like I'm trying to be professional, but sometimes I'm just like, fuck it.
Just a couple dudes talking about movies.
Just a couple naked dudes sitting in Sam's basement with people filming us ass to ass.
Yep.
Holy shit.